America, we have a problem. It is not just looming on the horizon, but is already here, knocking on our doors. It's big, it's orange, and it's impossible to ignore. After 4 years of relative peace, the man who treated the presidency like a late-night infomercial for his ego has returned. His presence is a stark reminder of the chaos that once was, and he's brought his wrecking ball with him. This isn't a drill, this is a full-scale assault on the very fabric of our democracy. This is a four-alarm fire for our democracy, and we must act like it. The flames are high and the stakes are even higher. Trump's romance with Russia endangers his own country. In a striking departure from traditional American foreign policy, President Donald Trump has exhibited an alarming propensity to acquiesce to Russian President Vladimir Putin's demands, thereby undermining Ukraine's sovereignty and destabilizing the geopolitical equilibrium. This approach not only echoes the ill-fated appeasement strategies of the past, but also raises critical questions about the efficacy of such diplomacy. A modern-day Munich? President Trump's recent overtures towards Russia bear an unsettling resemblance to the 1938 Munich Agreement, where concessions to Adolf Hitler failed to prevent further aggression. In a recent communication, Trump lauded Putin, stating they reflected on the great history of our nations and expressed mutual aspirations for collaboration. He further emphasized their shared desire to stop the millions of deaths taking place in the war with Russia-Ukraine, a narrative that conspicuously omits Russia's role as the aggressor, sidestepping allies. The new Yalta, Trump's proposal for exclusive US-Russia negotiations concerning Ukraine's future, with minimal involvement from Ukraine or European nations, evokes memories of the 1945 Yalta Conference, where superpowers delineated spheres of influence, often at the expense of smaller nations' autonomy. This approach marginalizes key stakeholders and undermines the principles of national self-determination. Concessions without reciprocity. In a series of unilateral concessions, Trump has indicated that Ukraine may need to relinquish certain territories and has withdrawn support for its NATO membership aspirations. Such preemptive compromises weaken Ukraine's negotiating position and embolden Russian expansionist ambitions. This strategy starkly contrasts with the proclaimed doctrine of peace through strength, instead projecting an image of capitulation. European alarm and the call for resolve. European leaders have expressed profound concern over the United States' apparent shift in stance. The Munich Security Conference has become a focal point for rallying opposition to this new form of appeasement. Emphasizing the lessons of history, European officials are advocating for a unified and resolute response to Russian aggression, underscoring the necessity of supporting Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. The perils of misguided deal-making. President Trump's approach to the Ukraine crisis exemplifies a perilous miscalculation in international diplomacy. By offering concessions without securing tangible commitments from Russia, the United States risks betraying a beleaguered ally and destabilizing the broader internationally. This isn't about Democrat versus Republican anymore, it's about something much deeper. This is about right versus wrong, it's about standing up for what is just and true. This is about the very soul of the United States of America. It's about the values we hold dear: freedom, justice, truth. These are not just words, they are the pillars of our society. Trump and his enablers are actively tearing down those values, brick by bloody brick, and they're doing it with a smile. They are destroying what generations have built. They're counting on our apathy, our fatigue, our willingness to just tune it all out and hope it goes away. They believe we will be too tired to fight back. Well, I've got news for them. We're not going anywhere. We're just getting started. Our resolve is stronger than ever. This is a fight we cannot afford to lose. The future of our nation depends on it. The stakes are too high and the consequences are too dire. So buckle up, America. The game is on and you must play to win. It's going to be a rough ride, but together we can get through the turbulence and come out stronger on the other side. So how did we get here? How did we find ourselves back in this unsettling reality, a place we thought we had left behind for good? How did a man who lost the popular vote twice, a man who was rejected by the majority of Americans, a man who incited an insurrection against his own government, leading to one of the darkest days in modern American history, a man who seemingly wouldn't recognize the Constitution if it hit him in the face with a subpoena, has shown a blatant disregard for the rule of law. How did this man weasel his way back into a position of power? How did he claw his way back into the spotlight against all odds? Well, the answer is as simple as it is terrifying. We let him. We, the American people, allowed this to happen. We, the American people, allowed ourselves to be lulled into a false sense of security. We became complacent, thinking that the worst was behind us. We thought the nightmare was over, that we could finally wake up from this fever dream of political chaos and incompetence. We believed that the storm had passed, but Trump never went away, not really. He was always there, lurking in the background, waiting for his moment to strike. He spent the last 4 years lurking in the shadows, stoking the flames of division, whispering sweet nothings into the ears of his loyal base. He never stopped campaigning. He told them the election was stolen, that he was the rightful king, and that only he could make America great again. He fed them lies and kept feeding them lies till today. And they still believe him. And they ate it up. They devoured every word, every false promise. They lapped it up like thirsty dogs at a sewage plant. They were desperate for his brand of leadership, no matter how toxic. They craved his brand of toxic populism, his utter disregard for truth or decency. They wanted someone who would tell them what they wanted to hear. And now he's back for more. He's back to finish what he started, to complete his mission of dismantling American democracy. He's back to finish what he started, the dismantling of American democracy. He's already started. His agenda is clear and his intentions are unmistakable. His first act upon returning to office, a joint address to Congress that was less a speech and more a rambling, incoherent rant about how great he is and how everyone who disagrees with him is a traitor. He's reinstated his most draconian policies, from the Muslim travel ban to the separation of families at the border, policies that tear at the very fabric of our society. He's packing the courts with unqualified ideologues who will rubber stamp his every whim, judges who will uphold his most extreme measures. He's waging war on the free press, on science, on facts themselves. He is attacking the very pillars of our democracy. He is, in short, a walking, talking, tweeting embodiment of everything that is wrong with America today, a symbol of our collective failure to uphold the values we hold dear. But here's the thing, Trump couldn't do any of this without the support of the Republican Party. They are the wind beneath his wings, the yes men who enable his worst impulses. They know what he's doing is wrong. They know he's a danger to the country, but they're too afraid of his base, too addicted to power to stand up to him. So they sit there in their expensive suits and their carefully coiffed hair, and they nod along like bobbleheads on a dashboard. They make excuses for his behavior. They twist themselves into pretzels trying to justify the unjustifiable. They are, in a word, cowards. These are the same people who, just a few years ago, were condemning Trump's actions, calling him unfit for office, a threat to the Republic. But now they're silent. Now they're complicit. They've made a Faustian bargain with the devil, and they're willing to sell out their country for a taste of power. Shame on them all. The damage Trump and his cronies are inflicting on this country and the entire world is real. It's tangible. It's happening right now. The economy is in free fall, thanks to his move forward, move backwards, disastrous trade wars and his reckless tax cuts for the wealthy. Our standing in the world has been diminished, our alliances strained, our enemies emboldened. Our environment is being ravaged by his denial of climate change, our healthcare system gutted by his attacks on the Affordable Care Act. But the most insidious damage is not the kind you can measure in dollars or casualties. It's the damage to our institutions, to our norms, to our very sense of who we are as a nation. Trump has eroded our trust in government, in the media, and in each other. He's normalized lying, cheating, and bullying. He's made it okay to be cruel, selfish, and utterly devoid of empathy. The stake's freedom itself hangs in the balance. This is not hyperbole. This is not some partisan exaggeration. The very survival of our democracy is at stake. Trump and his enablers are systematically dismantling the guardrails of our system, consolidating power, silencing dissent. They are, in essence, staging a slow-motion coup, and they're doing it in broad daylight, right under our noses. Where are the Democrats? Where are the freedom fighters and civil rights advocates? If we don't act now, if we don't stand up and fight back with everything we've got, we will lose this country. We will lose it to the forces of ignorance, intolerance, and authoritarianism. We will become a cautionary tale, a warning to the rest of the world about the fragility of freedom. Is that what we want? Is that the legacy we want to leave for our children and grandchildren? The urgency of now. Tomorrow may be too late. We cannot afford to wait. We cannot afford to be complacent. We cannot afford to think that someone else will fix this, that it's not our problem. This is our country, damn it. And we need to take it back. We need to take it back from the grifters, the con men, the snake oil salesmen who are peddling their brand of hate and division. The time for talk is over. The time for action is now. We need to treat this like the crisis it is. We need to mobilize, organize, and resist. We need to make so much noise that they can't ignore us, that they can't silence us, that they can't shut us up. A call to arms. Democrats must fight back. Democrats, this is on you. You are the last line of defense against this onslaught of authoritarianism. You need to stop being so damn polite. You need to stop playing by the rules, because the other side stopped playing by the rules a long time ago. You need to be relentless and unflinching, using every tool at your disposal to stop this madness. You need to investigate Trump and his administration. You need to hold hearings and subpoena everyone and anyone who might have information about his wrongdoing. You must impeach him again, and this time, you must make it stick. The power of the people. Make your voices heard. But it's not enough for just the Democrats to fight back. We, the people, need to raise our voices too. We need to call our elected officials, write letters, organize protests. We need to make it clear that we will not stand for this, that we will not let our democracy be destroyed without a fight. We need to vote like our lives depend on it, because they do. We need to support organizations that are fighting for our rights, for our values, for our future. We need to be engaged, informed, and active citizens. We need to be the change we want to see in the world. Section 10. Conclusion. The future of democracy rests on our shoulders. The future of this country, the future of democracy itself, rests on our shoulders. It's a heavy burden to bear, but it's one we cannot shirk. We have to believe that we can make a difference, that we can overcome this challenge, that we can build a better future for ourselves and for generations to come. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice, but it doesn't bend on its own. It needs people like us to grab hold of it and pull it in the right direction. So let's pull, America. Let's pull with all our might. Let's show the world that we are not a nation that can be cowed by bullies or intimidated by threats. Let's show them that we are the United States of America and that we will not surrender without fighting back.